What's up, everyone? Welcome to another vlog with me, Langston. In today's video, I want to talk about some tips, or rather some guidance when it comes to planning around your fitness goals. I just think that in today's day and age, there's a lot of confusion around this whole area. And when I say confusion, I don't mean that for all people, I mean that for just some people, maybe the majority, if anything, when it comes to, like fat loss goals or muscle gaining goals, just because there's just a variety of information out there, like, your keto diet, or maybe a vegan diet, or I don't know, there are like a bunch of stuff out there, which can be very overwhelming, honestly, in my opinion at least. And to be honest with you, I also was overwhelmed by all this kind of stuff. But the main thing is, what you got to look for is what is going to work for you in the long run, right? So what I'm going to talk about is mainly to address the fact that you got to look at all this stuff and see, number one, is it going to be sustainable for me? Number two, you are aware of what you're getting into. So let's get into it. Alright, so let's say you're someone who wants to lose body fat. Alright, now in order to do that, there would be three protocols: calorie deficit, counting calories, strength training, right? Now let's go over each one of these. So let's say calorie deficit, right? What is that? Essentially, you burn more calories than you consume per day. We all know that, right? Which brings me to my next point, which is counting calories. Now, a lot of people over here get very confused because it's like, I wouldn't say confused, it's more like, oh, it's something that's very difficult to do, or it's something that it does not feel like it's something that's necessary to do if you're on a fat loss diet. But the reason why you want to count your calories is just because you need to know, you need to be aware of what you have per day, just so that you do not go beyond what you're actually eating. Because you might be thinking you're eating less, but maybe you're having a lot more than what you're supposed to be having. And let's say you're doing this over the course of 6 months. Having that numeric count of calories and just being aware of what you're eating, and like for example, you're supposed to consume, let's say your body was supposed to consume 2000 calories per day, but you're consuming only 1800, which means you're in a deficit of 200 calories per day, which is up to about 1000 calories per week. So that's something that's important, because you will eventually drop weight in the course of a couple of weeks. Now, the thing is, as you drop weight, your body is going to change, right? Your body is going to drop, it's dropping weight. You're probably, gaining some muscle, maybe not at a higher rate, but, or maybe you're losing muscle. So it depends on how you're eating and everything. So based on your body weight, you would have to adjust those calories, which means that the number is going to change. You cannot just eat the same thing again. If you have dropped 10 pounds, that means the amount of protein, carbs, and fats you consume is going to change, which definitely means you have to adjust those calories, which is why having that number is very important. And I personally think that counting calories is definitely something that's amazing to go for, especially if you're doing something on a short period of time. Now, if you want to do portions, which does not really involve counting any calories, that's completely fine as well, but it might just take longer than 6 months. For example, if you think you can do that in 6 months, you might not get to that goal, and that's completely okay as long as you are cool with it. So if you're not getting into like a competition, or I don't know, a photo shoot or something, that's fine. Like, I mean, it really depends on you. If you're okay with the whole fact that, okay, if it takes more than a year, I'm totally cool with it. But if you want it to happen in a specific period of time, I believe calculating calories is essential. Alright, so let's say you want to build muscle, or you want to gain some weight. That means you would have to get into a caloric surplus, which means consuming a lot more calories than you usually do. Obviously, with a training program, which is to build muscle, you might have to probably do lesser reps, but more weight, things of that sort. That's something a trainer would help you with. But When I say consume more calories, I do not mean eating whatever you want, because a lot of people get confused with the fact that, hey, because I'm supposed to eat a lot more, that means I can eat anything I want. So pizzas maybe, or a burger, or whatever, cheese, all that stuff. Now, yes, you have to consume calories, but it's clean calories. That does not mean you consume stuff like pizza or cheese or all these kind of things, because this has, really bad effects on your gut health. Also, it has fats that you don't want, and just unnecessary calories which can have bad effects on your health. And again, this might not even get you to your goal, because most of these calories are some of them could be empty calories, and it's not something that will really help you build muscle. You really want most of those calories to come from the protein that you have, the essential carbohydrates, as well as the essential fats, not something that's cooked in a restaurant, because that stuff is just bad, pure bad. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat restaurant foods. I'm not saying you shouldn't go out once in a while. I'm just saying, if you have a goal, and if you have like a certain amount of time that you're going to be spending on that goal, you will have to commit to a specific training and a specific diet just to get there. You could do it otherwise as well, and it could work, good for you, but in most cases it really does not. Anyone who has trained, any actors, like if you ask actors when they train for movies or something, or when they're trained for a specific role, their diet, that entire phase was, they trained for 6 months or 8 months or whatever, but they were literally on top of their diet. So, and it's something that they were aware of. It was not consuming anything that you wanted, but you got to make sure that you're aware of that, and that's something that you have to be willing to pay. And and to be honest, and it does not sound, I know it might be sounding like, oh, I have to count my calories or whatever. It's really not that bad, as long as you eat the right stuff. And to be honest, right now there are just so many recipes out there that taste amazing, and so you get to enjoy your meals as well as you're eating clean. So firstly, you have to ask yourself, like, are you willing to make that commitment for maybe 6 months or 8 months to burn that, or you're just giving yourself like maybe a year or 2 years, or you're letting yourself, I'm going to do this like over time, which is completely fine as well. But let's say you're like, oh, you've gained a lot of weight and you got to lose this in the next few months. That's something that you got to ask yourself. And number one, that creates a good sense of urgency for you, because like, let's say you give yourself 6 months, you're like, okay, I have 6 months, and for the next 6 months I'm going to make sure that I commit to the training that I have, as well as the diet that's given to me, right? Because if you're doing it for the next 6 months, you will have to follow something strict. It's the plain truth. I don't think there would be any other way. Whether it's a keto diet, whether it's any diet, it's gonna be something that you have to follow to help you get to that goal. Now, you have to also make sure, like I said before, that it works for you, which is why I would always, recommend to consult a nutritionist to help you with that, as well as maybe a personal trainer that can help you get to that goal. Create a training program for you to help you get to that specific goal that you have. Because let's face it, everybody has different schedules. Some people can train 2 times a week, some people can train 5 times a week, some people can train just 4 times a week. And depending on that, you'll have to make sure that whoever is able to design your program designs it in that way, so that you can actually get to that goal in X amount of time. So that's just a tip for myself. Obviously, there are online programs as well which really work, but it's just something that you have to decide for yourself, and it's some research to do on your part as well. But getting professional guidance is something that I'd always recommend. The next thing is also, whether it's a personal trainer or nutritionist or any online program you're following, you kind of have to be a little bold. When I say bold, I mean bold with yourself, because when you're doing this for an X amount of time, you should remember that you will have outings, right? You might go out with friends, maybe colleagues, or maybe just out in general, maybe family or whatever. And sometimes you can tend to eat foods that are not permitted in a diet, right? Because events have, obviously, if you go to like a wedding or something, you will probably indulge. That's why it's always good to have a heads up, like, give yourself some time to prepare yourself mentally before you even start a diet or before you even start a training regime, because you have to make sure you're prepared for whatever comes in front of you, right? And that's just amazing to practice and amazing to, and I think that's just good to do for yourself, because like, okay, maybe in 3 months I have a wedding, so I'm gonna be like, maybe you wouldn't eat as much as you're supposed to just because you're on a program right now. Maybe you have to say no to some people, maybe to your friends if they're going out. So let's say everyone's like, hey, they want to grab a bite of pizza. You say no and you have your own food instead that you prepared for yourself, or maybe you got a meal prepping company that has helped you out. You got to make sure you stick to the diet, because any one of those things will just keep you one step back. And that's not bad. It's not bad to have something like that. Just remember that it will just delay your goal. It's just going to take more time. And if you're cool with it, it's totally fine. But if you're someone who's like, okay, I got to get this done no matter what, just mentally prepare yourself and be willing to say no to a lot of people or to events maybe. So that's just my personal advice to you. You might not agree with it, and that's completely fine, but it's really your call, it's your decision, it's your own choice. So that's just something that I want to leave. Alright, so I guess I covered everything I wanted to talk about in this video, and I genuinely hope that whatever I did say will help you get yourself prepared if you're someone who's trying to get to a specific fitness goal. And I hope that this video was extremely valuable to you, and if it was, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends. And also, please leave a comment down, because I would like to know what you think, and if it did help you, that's something that I definitely would like to know. So yeah, I wish you all the best, and I hope you all have an amazing day or evening. Peace.